This session today is all about QuoteAnywhere, and we're really pleased. We've got lots of good people who've joined the session. Some of you are users of QuoteAnywhere. Others of you are just starting to launch, and others I know are probably interested in what QuoteAnywhere is all about. So some of the things we're going to cover today are number one, the application itself and how you create quotes. The second thing we're going to do is look at how to start a quote from an appointment, which you'll see here on my dashboard. We'll also look at how to create a quote fresh, brand new, just by using the Create button. And then we'll talk about managing discounts that can be assigned from the user level, from a package or a job level. So there are many ways to do that. We will also get into quoting and signing. So you're actually going to see the contracts that are produced when you create a quote and how to sign them through our integration with eOriginal. And then also business forms, the use of business forms. So let's get going. We've got an hour together. And the way we're going to divide this up is I'm first going to just quickly create a quote in QuoteAnywhere, just so that you can see the process. We will then launch a quick poll, and literally it'll be, 30 seconds. Easy stuff, don't worry about it. Then we're going to go in and we're going to create another job that will get into a few more of the kind of features and the functionality that you can use with your teams. And then finally we're going to end on some of the business forms, some of the functionality there, and also some things that we're working on for the next release so that you know what's coming up. There's some neat things that are coming. So we'll have a total of 3 polls today, quick and easy stuff, and at the end we'll be sure to answer any questions. For those of you who are not familiar with WeSuite, WeSuite is all about sales management from contact to contract, and what we're looking at today on my screen is on the left-hand side, I've got a lot of functionality just because most users won't see as many things as I do. It's just that I'm on a demo-type machine. But we've seen a connection here between WeOpportunity, which is all about sales prospecting, lead management, and account management. QuoteAnywhere, which is what we're going to focus on today, creating quotes in the field and signing with your customer. And then the third is WeEstimate. WeEstimate is the hub product. WeEstimate is all about sales quoting from very simple jobs through complex. And WeEstimate is always running in the background. So think of it as the hub. QuoteAnywhere is a spoke from that hub. So let's go ahead and create a quick quote. You'll see that I've got appointments waiting here. These are waiting because someone in Lead Center created a lead when someone called in, and they assigned an appointment to that lead. So as a salesperson, if I know that I'm going to go meet Aquafina Water, all I have to do is click on it, and I start the quoting process. So this is going to lead me right into loading the actual quote for the job. Now, one thing that's important to remember is this is a web-based product. So if I look at my my web ID up here, you're going to see when you first come into WeOpportunity, you're going to log in using your username, and as long as you've got a connection to the internet, you'll be able to log in. Okay? For most of you, you're not going to see your web address. You're going to have a URL that's custom to your company. All right. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and create a new quote. You can use an appointment. You can start a quote from the side toolbar. And essentially what we do is first enter the name of a company or a user. Maybe you're quoting for a home. So let's say that I'm working on Hernandez. All right. And when I do this, I'm searching the database. When I search the database, for those of you who are connected to an accounting system through a WeSuite integration, we will search both WeSuite and the accounting database at the same time in case this is an existing customer. I can tell that this isn't because it's in black and white. If I go ahead and pick Hernandez Liron, this is the actual customer. Here's a site and here's a billing. So they're in my database. These are the 3 pieces of information I need for the quote. And if I go ahead and search on Liron, I'm going to find him in my database. So there he is. I'm creating the quote just for him. And I could set this up before I ever get on site. You'll see buttons like Next for those who have an iPad. This helps you so that you don't have to scroll with an iPad. I use a Microsoft Surface Pro. I love it because I can actually just use my hands to scroll on the screen. The next thing we'll do is we're going to pick a package that we're selling. So in this case, I'm going to use the Basic Security System package, and I'm going to create that proposal. Now, you can do this in front of your customer because what we're seeing is the base installation price, $149.95, is the price of the package, and it includes 1 of these items, 5 of these, and 1 of these. So anything with a green check mark and the quantity is included for this price. If I'm going to add any other items, or if I'm going to use any optional items, I have 2 choices. I can add the quantity here by just clicking and adding a quantity. So I could just say, okay, I want 1 of these, and it's going to come in at the full retail price when I save it. So now I've added $24.63. My other option is to go ahead and click on a button here where I could add, say, 5 of these, and at the same time I can even say, you know, which location. So I can say 3 at downstairs windows, 2 at rear, and 1 upstairs, whatever it is. So what you're doing is you're basically laying this out for, say, an installation team that might come thereafter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and update this to the sale. And you would continue adding any options, that kind of thing, making any notes you'd like to. You can also enter notes here on the right-hand side. So you have a lot of flexibility in terms of what you're doing and where you're entering information. Okay, let's say that my quote now is at $790. I probably want to include a little bit of recurring revenue. And again, with a package type sale, that RMR can already be built in. Does not have to be. So in your organization, you may not have any built-in RMR. You may have built-in like I do, and then you can add other optional RMR. And it's important. I can see that my default position is 36 months, 3 years. So when I'm entering anything additional, I want to enter literally the number of years in months. All right? And by the way, I could have decreased that if I wanted it. So I could have done 12 or 24. All right? And you see when I save it, now my additional monthly RMR is there as well. I'm going to go to the General tab, and the General tab is going to sum up what this sale is all about. So when I look at it, I can see that my sale is now $807.79, and my RMR is $27.95. This first go-round, I'm going to pretend that I'm standing with my client, and we're ready to go, and they say, look, this sounds great. It's what I want, but I had budgeted $750. I don't have $807. So there is an option, a feature built in here that if you were to take that lower amount, you could enter it, $750, and save it, and you're basically seeing that you came down almost $60. In the background, I have a formula that says every $20 I come down, go up in RMR $1. So what this does is basically say, I'm not discounting this. I'm not taking money away from the company. I am getting a gain back on the RMR. So it's a very useful feature that you may want to take advantage of, okay? And that's just programmed in the background. If the customer says, fine, that looks great. Now in this case too, my package was already coming in with tax. If that's not the way you operate, don't worry about it. We can hide this and you won't see any of that. At this point, what I can do is go right to signing. I have another option though too. We're going to talk a little bit just in this first job about business forms. Business forms are a way to take away that paper that a lot of people carry around to take down, for instance, emergency contact information. So we'll start there. We've created a form. We've taken away the paper. And in the form, we basically can record a contact's name, phone, email, password, other contact information, responding agencies. What's neat about the form is that I can take this information and I can actually populate other contract documents if I wanted to with this information. All right? Now, once I enter whatever it is that I'm entering, I can save it. This is now permanently stored in the WeSuite database, so this is part of your database. This is very unique. The other thing to know about these forms is that later on, if we wanted to, we could email the form. We'll email a link to our installer, and they can come in and fill out the entire zone list. And again, don't worry about if this form has all the information that you need. We actually make these for you, so they're specific to each organization. So when you email a form later on to a client or to an installer, something like that, once they enter their information and hit save, it's automatically in the database. They don't have to even email it back. All right, let's go ahead and now sign. So we got the information we needed from our client, and now they're ready to sign contracts. So we went to the Documents tab, and we're going right to the Contracts tab. For those of you familiar with WeEstimate, you see that you can even create your quotes here too. But this, we want to go right for the sale here. So there's two things you can do here. Some of you may have certain options that are required on your contract documents. For instance, the installation date. So let's say we're going to install this on Friday. I can update that and save it. So that's now updated onto the contract document. I may also have some custom options, and again, this depends on your contract. So really envision this as something that's specific to each of you that we will work with. So with these checkboxes, when I check them, dynamically we're going to check them on the contract document. And then I just close that. Now I can now view the document. So this is also a pretty cool thing. I can actually pull this document up and preview it so that I can see with the customer, hey, this is what this looks like, this is what you're signing, and take a look at it before they sign. That often makes people just feel more comfortable. They had a shot at looking at it. Whether or not you're changing anything, probably not, but they got to take a look at it. Another thing that's important here to look at is that in with that package came the 2 contracts that were required. So I didn't have to do anything as a salesperson. All I'm doing is just going through, adding the parts that I needed. Now the subscriber's ready to sign. They click subscriber, and this is where our first integration is with eOriginal. So now the contracts that are for this sale are being loaded. We see that they have 2 documents waiting for signature. If you've got lots of places to sign in a document, we'll also be able to say you've got 2 documents and 23 places you need to sign, whatever it is. The person can review their signature and their initials. They could draw or upload if they wanted to. But the big thing here is they're going to read this and consent to sign. Once they consent, they can begin the process. And it's very straightforward. The documents are loaded. They can actually click through and review any part of the documents that they'd like to. They can back out. So if they don't want to sign, all of a sudden they got cold feet, you're going to save them, of course. They could back out. And they can come back into the signing room anytime they want to. But our goal is to get them to sign right now. So they simply click through and apply their signature. And then the next document is going to present. So when I look at these documents, what's happened is we've configured one transaction. Okay, this is one signing transaction, but I can have as many documents in that transaction as I need. The customer then sees that they've signed everything and they're getting a notification at their email address. By the way, they can come in and get a copy of this anytime they need to after this is done. So they'll still have a link to the signing room. What you're going to see next is that you're going to get confirmation that now you see those just turned green check marks, so the subscriber has signed. And while we're here, I want to point out one other thing. if you're familiar with WeEstimate, you know that our job numbers look like this. So this job, 8086-1-0, is existing in WeEstimate. So the entire system is connected together, and you didn't have to do anything except create this quote. Now as a dealer, I'm going in and I'm signing. So I'm the sales rep. In my organization, that's the way we roll. The sales rep can go ahead and sign. If in your organization it's different, you can have the workflow process be that the next person is notified. They can come in, sign the document, and once all the signatures are complete, two things happen. Number one, you're happy because you just made a sale. Number two, we actually see this as a one job. And so in QuoteAnywhere and WeEstimate, this is considered a one sale. And then for anybody, again, on the accounting side that needs to have the workflow automatically move into the accounting, that is completed just the way you do it today in WeEstimate. So we're going to get confirmation here that the dealer is signed, and that completes a sale. So next up, we're going to take a little bit deeper dive. We've completed this. We see on the left-hand side that this job is in a one status, and we've got some information about it right here on the left. Easy to close it. You can just go ahead and hit the close button. Okay? Brings you back to the dashboard. Now, I did want to point out a couple things, and I'm going to go a little bit more slowly through this so that everybody gets a good feel for it. So let's build another quote, and let me show you what that looks like. What we can do is go in, and when we build the quote, if I'm allowed to discount, I will be offered the ability at several levels. All right. I'm going to do something here that shows you, first of all, when I search on the database, Advanced Construction, and I say go, this is where you'll see the search on Sedona Office. So you see, for any of you Sedona users or anybody else who's linked to an accounting system, when you see an orange highlight, this is an indication that this is coming from the accounting database, and it's something that both WeSuite and Sedona Office, in this case, that's what I'm linked to, are familiar with. You'll see here another heavy hint. This is a customer number. When you see something in black and white, that means it's in WeSuite. It is not recognized yet by the accounting database. When you see something in green or underlined in green, this is an indication that this is something that is available from the accounting database, but we have not yet seen or won it in WeSuite. I'm going to go ahead and use an existing customer, and I'm going to use an existing site. Now, let's say that I have a new billing address. All I have to do is click there, and I can enter the new billing address. And I want all of you to be aware, there's a nice button here that if you had the billing address is the same as the site, all you do is click it. And look, you don't have to type a thing. If you're entering a new billing address, it's important, like anything else, get it right. Make sure that you're actually entering, very good information, because when you do this, this is going into the database permanently, okay? So next time somebody else comes to use this, they want to, of course, have accurate information. We do have an auto search on city, state, and zip code. So you can go ahead and pick, whatever the city, the state is, and then your zip codes that are related to that location will come up as well. Okay. When you create a new address, you are going to get a message that tells you that it's successfully created. I'm going to use Tom Stevenson because, he's my go-to guy. So again, here's Tom. So I've got my customer, my site, my billing, and my contact. Those are the elements you need. Again, remember, if you need the next button, that's on an iPad. Now, a couple new things that I want to point out. There are features here that allow you to do things. For instance, on a particular package, you could say there's a questionnaire related to a package. there are some organizations that may offer special pricing or special packages only if certain questions are answered in the affirmative. So for instance, in this case, this is an existing customer and we're offering them a special package, but in order to receive the right pricing, they've got to have an accurate and current account balance. They have to be under contract for a certain number of months, and we've got to understand what their current RMR is. So if these questions were answered in the way that meets the criteria for that package pricing, they would be able to then continue to sell that package to that client. Okay? The other thing that's important to show you is that you could quote more than one package at once. So if I wanted to include the basic CCTV and the security system, I could just check 2 boxes and then create the proposal. Now you see that the basic security system is here. You'll see that we've got little arrow buttons here. These little arrowheads are what will unfold and fold the screen so that you can get to information without scrolling. The reason you've got little boxes here is because nobody added photos to a package. So when you do setup of packages, you're actually including the photo that represents whatever the item is. And if you don't, you're going to get a little box instead, or some package photo that doesn't represent, what that item is. Now, you'll note that 2 of these items are included in this package. If I go ahead and increase the quantity, this is where I get the Advanced tab. So we're going into different ways to do discounts. The only way to discount an item is if it did not exist in the original package. Makes sense. I can discount a percentage or I can discount a dollar amount, and your discounts will be fenced by thresholds that are in your user at your user level. So if I tried to discount at a rate that I wasn't allowed, the system will tell you you've exceeded your threshold. Once I apply this discount, I can go ahead and update. And now you get a message that this was a successful update. And you see that, let's just button this guy up. You see that we've added additional equipment here and we've included a discount. Okay, so it's very nice. The other thing you see is that this button is turning a color. It's reminding us when it's red that we've done something there. We've added equipment and or we've applied a discount. So it's a really easy way to see what you've edited. Okay. Another way that you could apply a discount would be at the overall package level. And at the overall package level, if you're allowed to discount the package, again, you could apply a dollar amount or a discount as a percentage, and this will be on the parts. You also, if you're allowed, you would be able to discount the RMR. Okay, so let's just do a 10%. And that's only for that package. All right. If I looked at the services and then the general tab, I'll see that that discount was applied to the RMR. Now, another thing, let's go ahead and do something over here. So in the other package, and you see I just used these arrowheads. I'm just reminding everybody so you can see that. I can see that I can apply the discount here or at the line item. Let's add another part. Let's add 2 of these. This is an optional part. The reason that the discounts are under advanced is so that you don't have to show that to a client. All right, you're only going to give a discount if you really need to or want to. Another thing to pay attention to, some packages may have instructions on them. So if you click on that, you could get a series of instructions that are just reminding you to do certain things. Verifying the garage type door opener. You know, that may have an impact on one of the products that you select. So it's a very important thing to understand that we can include those kinds of instructions in a package. Another thing that's interesting is you can do a substitution. And there are different ways to do substitutions. You could do a substitute of one part to another. So if I chose this substitute, I no longer will use the door or window contacts that are here. Instead, I'm going to use whatever the substitute is. Another way, and this is for those already using QuoteAnywhere, this is in a new release, which you'll be getting. Another way to do a substitution is more to say, instead of 5 of these, I'm going to do 3 of these door window contacts, and I'm also going to bring in 2 of another item. So when you use a substitute, you'll see that there will be substitute items available. If you select them, you could decrease the number of contacts and then have, 2 overhead door contacts versus 5 regular contacts. Okay. The other thing that's important to see here is that any of the notes that you enter here can go on to the job summary report. So for those of you who are used to using a job summary report in WeEstimate, it's also here in QuoteAnywhere. The notes that are applied here, if we want to show them at the part level, it's just an important thing to remind one of the deployment specialists that you work with where you want those kinds of things to appear. Because as you know, we can customize your documents to really work the way your workflow is. Okay. One other thing that's really important is that you can always add a package or add an item. Now, this is kind of neat. When I go and say I'm going to add an item, this gives me the ultimate flexibility. And I'm going to add an item to really impress everybody here from the accounting database. So imagine that I am out in the field. I'm connected through, my Microsoft Surface Pro or my iPad or my tablet and my internet connection, and I'm able to actually search on the real parts database from the accounting system. I know you guys all just cheered and I can't hear you, and I'm sorry for that, but what I can do is add 2 cameras that had nothing to do with the package. All right? So I can say locate in the warehouse. All right, and when I add those are coming in at their full retail value, and we're now, again, increasing the dollar amount of the sale, but we're doing so by adding items that weren't even part of that package at all. All right? The final way that I can apply a discount would be here to discount the entire sale. So if at some point I wanted to say, okay, I'm going to give them a $20 discount off the entire sale, it's not that much, I'm a little cheap, let's do something more, let's do $100. So I gave them a 7% discount, then that will be on the entire sale versus at the package level or the part level within a package. All right? Before we move on, just a couple other things to familiarize you with the screen. Now again, this is because we're doing a little bit of a training and a little bit of a familiarity with what QuoteAnywhere is all about. If you need to move from page to page, you just use the arrows down here. Now I can see I only have 1 page, not a big deal. If you had multiple pages, you'd be able to see that too. It'll show you 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Another thing that you'll see is supporting documents. So in the newest version, you'll be able to save supporting documents that might be of interest in this particular sale. You also have your job information tab here, so you can do forecasting from here. You can also select a job type and a system type if that's important for you to do as a salesperson. That might be something that triggers certain commission calculations in our system. That may be something that's required for an import into an accounting system. You can enter a purchase order number. So any of that information can be saved as well. All right, let's go back now to the Services tab. Again, you'll see that here's the RMR that was brought in with each package. And if I want to, I can go ahead and add additional RMR items by, again, just clicking open the package. And again, I can change. Let's say I want that to be 24 months. So I wanted you to see it doesn't have to be what the default value is if you need to change it. And once I save it, that new RMR value is there. All right. I'm going to spend just a little bit more time on the General tab because there are a couple other items that are important for you here. In order to make any change, you do need to hit the edit button. So if you go over here and you're trying to click around and nothing's happening, just remember to come over and hit the edit button. You see that on this particular sale, the value is $1,424. We've applied discounts, not only here on the installation, but also on the RMR. So the discounted amounts are already shown. In that case, you may not want to adjust the installation value and have that formula that increases RMR, but the option is there. So if you want to use it and it's of value to you, it's a great way to not let that RMR go by. You can accept a deposit. And again, you can enter a deposit in a dollar amount or as a percentage. Now this is important. When I accept this deposit, I'm saying that the full value of the sale is what I'm entering as a deposit. Important in terms of tax. If you have to charge tax, right, if you're somebody who's charging tax in the sales process, we need to know that so that we understand if we're to include that tax amount in the deposit as well. Okay, so that's a configuration item we have to address with you. Second thing on taxes is that we have to look at the configuration of taxes with you and your company depending on where you sell. You may have to have retail versus use tax. You may have to have tax on material and labor. So we have to have the discussion on how tax is charged and how it is shown on a proposal or a contract document. The system doesn't do that automatically because it's so different, no matter, depending on where you are and how you sell. One other thing that's great to know is that if you decide, oops, I don't want to do that, you can revert the total back to whatever the installation value was. So if I adjusted this, let's say I adjusted this to, let's say $950, all right, and I saved it. So now I had my discount, plus I met their budget, and my RMR went up, and somebody changed their mind. You are able to revert that installation adjustment back just by selecting this button. Okay? Okay, great. I'm going to go back to business forms because I think that this is very, very important for everyone. Business forms came about because we had a lot of you telling us, gosh, we've got 8 documents we have to fill out in all of our sales process, and it's really driving us crazy, and then somebody else has to manually enter that information, and it ended up that a lot of information was being touched 2, 3, or 4 times by various people. So the smart people over here that I happen to work with put together a really neat thing. It's called business forms, and I don't know that that title really does it justice. What you can do is you can enter any kind of document. You give it to us, and business forms can be applied in the opportunity stage, in the job stage where I'm creating an estimate, and they can be in WeOpportunity, QuoteAnywhere, and or WeEstimate. So as an example, if I was doing something with this alarm monitoring worksheet, we're going to fill in any of the information that we already know from the job. By the way, we can pull information from other databases as well. So as an example, if there was something in your Sedona Office database or another accounting system database, we can pull that into a form and automatically fill that information. You can add, for instance, as many key holders or non-responders or zones or anything else that you need. You may want to get a referral. So what I would do with a referral is probably not have it on this same sheet. Maybe it's easy for them to fill out. If you're sitting there with a customer, what a great time to ask for a referral. Your other option is to create a referral sheet and then email it to them. But I guess the better belief is that if I'm going to have them sign right there, capture that referral while I'm sitting there. And once I enter the information, all I have to do is save it. Now this is interesting too. There's certain information here that's I'm told is required. That's great. So it's going to remind me that you have to fill out that information in order to proceed. Couple other ideas with business forms. You can do a site survey. So one option is that if I start in WeOpportunity, do a business form in WeOpportunity, then I can go ahead and have that information travel into the quoting process in WeEstimate. What does that do? It means that I, as a salesperson, can go out, take that site survey information down, go ahead and change that opportunity to a request for quote stage, and that'll flow right into WeEstimate. I can assign an engineer. That engineer can really deal with the technical aspects of that quote while I go out and find more business. So it becomes a good way to save not just paper and trees, but your time and effort. So one of the things we're really interested in is what your thoughts are on business forms and how you would find that useful to you through maybe joining even the sales process to operations, taking down zone lists, being able to email a zone list form to an installer. They automatically fill it out, hit save, and automatically that information is in the database. So please give us feedback on that. One last little thing I'd like to point out here is, and this is very nice, you know, with the latest version of QuoteAnywhere and WeOpportunity, one thing you'll see, and I'm just going to pop into lead management very quickly. If I go in and I find an opportunity, let's look at something that's in progress. You're going to ask me, why is she in WeOp and not, how does this relate? I can go to WeOpportunity as an example, and let me just open this particular opportunity. And anybody who's familiar with WeOpportunity, when you're ready to send this job into WeEstimate, you simply write, you know, create a title. Let's say that this is an alarm and CCTV system. So I can call it whatever I want. When I'm ready to change that status so that now I can create the estimate, I can actually come in and I can say, well, how do I want to quote this? So it was something that before I would change to RFQ, and automatically when I hit save, I get a window that is going to record a little bit of information for WeEstimate. Now what you can do is actually decide, do I want to create this in WeEstimate, or do I want to create a quote in QuoteAnywhere? So this is a great place for you to be able now to decide, am I quoting in WeEstimate, more complex job, or am I quoting package sales in QuoteAnywhere? And this will link your leads to your quote process. Why is that important? Because then you'll contact the contract report on all of your sales, where they came from, which opportunities came from what prospecting. Easing quoting, I can just go right into QuoteAnywhere for those easy jobs and quote from there versus going into WeEstimate for the more complex. Okay, I just want to see if there's any questions. Please go ahead and enter those if you've got them. And while we do that, I want to review just a couple other things that I think are important to you, and they have to do mostly with the document screen. One of the things that I think has been really great in terms of what our developers are doing is they're giving you functionality here. When we started QuoteAnywhere, it was really meant for package type sales, high volume, smaller sales that, you know, for those of you who have to make your weekly numbers, and those numbers are based on how many sales, how many appointments you can get, and taking away that paper process and the go-backs. What I liked was that our team developed not just that you could, you know, sign a contract here. You may be in a position where you have to create a quote. So you can easily create a quote. You can title it whatever you'd like to. All right, save that title. And then you can, just like you do in WeEstimate, choose what it is that you want to include in terms of the pages on your proposal. All right? And then you can also decide, how am I going to show my pricing? So here I'm just going to display the quantity in the description. I can choose how I want to sort it. I can choose if I want to show labor or not, subcontractors, charge items. I mean, it's really pretty amazing. Let's not show freight and warranty either. So literally by checking boxes, you can decide how you want to present that pricing. You can also decide, the term, the deposit, and any of the scope details. These are things that I'm excluding. Unless I check them, now they're included. When I'm ready, I can generate that quote. So you've got the full proposal document functionality built into QuoteAnywhere, just like you do in WeEstimate. And the neat thing about it is, again, I can create scope of work. I can create letters. I can create anything that I was normally creating. I didn't create a body of a letter. So you see, it's short and sweet, as we like to say. Short and WeSuite. But you'll see, too, the dynamics are here. So, everything was excluded, but the two items that I included. So, again, you've got full functionality here, just like you do in WeEstimate. A couple other things. I promised that I was going to tell you some new stuff that's coming. First of all, we are in this current release, you are able not only to add parts, but you will be able to add labor at the part level. And I know we just had some clapping on that one. I'm particularly thrilled about that myself. So as I add parts to a particular job, and these are the optional parts. So of course the package, that information has already been decided. But if I'm adding additional parts to a particular job, then I can go ahead and add labor as well. All right. Another thing that is happening, and actually when you get a new release of WeOpportunity, you'll see this too. On the maps, so I don't know how many people are using this, but I like this myself very much. Right now, typically you're able to filter by your won customers and lost customers, that kind of thing, in progress, leads. Now you'll be able to do that for your teammates as well. So if you have the user rights, for instance, to see everybody in White Plains, so I'm just checked the box and I've got everybody there, I can actually see everybody on my team and what's happening in their world. If I've got the user rights to only see myself, I won't be able to do this. All right, business forms. You see all the different forms that can be attached to a particular opportunity. So we're all listed here. All right. So again, any forms that are created, you'll have access to here. You also can get right to parts lists. Any of the tabs that we have here are repeated on that side frame. All right, let me just check and be sure that we've gone through everything we were supposed to today. We did hit discounts, just a brief on that. Discounts are going to be at the line item level, for the package level, or for the entire job. We did cover the fact that you can work with your customer on their budget by adjusting the installation value, and that will work with an adjustment on RMR. One more mention on RMR, you can sell bundled RMR. So there are features in the system that allow you, if I offered you one service, it's $10 a month. If you took two of a service, let's pretend, I often see this with Z-Wave. If you take two of them, now instead of $10, it's $8 a month each. If it's three, it might go down to $6. So if you do any of that, that's available as well. We learned that any lead center sending into appointments here, you can click on any of these and start a quote. And by the way, you can look ahead and see any of your quotes that are coming up as well. So next 7 days, prior 7 days. The flag that's on this indicates that a quote was already created. So it's one that's already in the system. All right? And see, by just clicking on it, I've got Greg's Coffee and Tea ready to go. I can add my billing address. Remember this little super box? I love it. click it, no typing, and I'm ready to start quoting. Okay. We also learned how to create a new sale on the fly. We also saw we can create both proposals and contract documents. By the way, you can email your contract documents out totally separately if you needed to. We added optional products and services, and we also saw how to use electronic signature through the eOriginal integration. That integration is really great. I have to tell you, one of the things, it took a long time for us to do that. It's fairly complex, but it really has huge benefits. We started using it, and I absolutely love it. One of the things that is nice about it, just in case you're considering it, is that you can use it for the WeSuite products, but you can also use it for e-signature of any other documents within the company. So if you're considering that, keep that in mind. And then finally, the last thing was business forms and the use of business forms in your quoting and sales process. Biggest thing I'd say on that, and please ask us for our advice if you'd like it, we're happy to give it, on how to better your workflow process through business forms. I think that's it. If you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them now. We'll try to answer any of those, but we want to be mindful of your time and let you guys all get back to your busy days. As I wait to see if there's any questions, I just want to thank you all. Number one, thanks to all of you who are our clients. We really, really appreciate everything you do for us. We hope that you see how much we care about you. And if there is any interest in additional training, if you need additional help, remember info@wesuite.com gets you to people like me. And then WeSupport@wesuite.com is where you would enter any support type issues that you need help with. We encourage you to use that because that automates a ticket in our system so we can always track it. Questions? Thanks for all the yays. You're back up. We appreciate that. When a discount is applied, does the discounted amount show somewhere so management knows how much discount was applied? So it does. Two things. If that's something that somebody wanted to see, and hopefully you'll remember, there's a button where we apply to change or discount, and that button turns a color. It actually shows you that you've applied a discount or you've changed a quantity. And one of the things I think that's important to understand is that when you're using QuoteAnywhere, generally speaking, we don't go through approvals. That'll come. We actually see that that's going to come at some point. But for now, we're really looking at selling quick sales that already have been approved because of the package and the package pricing. Okay. Another thing is, do you have the specs for the picture size? Yes, ma'am. Karen, picture sizes, anything 10 megabytes or less is the best. Because when you're loading, so one of the things that's important to remember is you're preparing your packages. 10 megabytes or less gives you the best loading time. And the pictures are also fine. You saw they loaded quickly on my system. A couple of you have asked, is there a way to attach photos if you're doing a site survey? That is actually coming. Great question. Thank you for that one. That's actually coming. One of the things I should mention, we have a site survey module that is under development, and it's pretty neat. What you'll be able to do is not just load floor plans. You can use a PDF, and you will drag and drop icons. We will do a webinar to show you that in the next 2 months probably. You drag and drop icons, and that builds your quote as you go. And in that one, the idea is also to be able to attach photos that you might have taken at a job site, that kind of thing. Transfer a picture to Sedona, good question. I don't know. It depends. That's something we'd have to work with Sedona office on as well. But it's something we'd have to go to the development teams and find out. And will we be converting WeEstimate? So, nice question. I want you to see that the answer is kind of yes. What you're seeing here is WeEstimate is also parts of it are already on board here. So what you're seeing, and WeSuite is a firm believer that the world is just becoming more and more connected every day. I quoted 2 weeks ago while flying on Southwest. I paid $8. I got my internet, and I was using my WeSuite products. It was awesome. So you're going to see more and more of the products convert to the browser-based. Part of the reason why you don't see that immediately is, number one, WeEstimate is a massive piece of software, but the second is that we don't have all the tools we need to give you all the functionality that WeEstimate has. It's very, very powerful. Will we do another webinar on WeEstimate? Absolutely. You guys, please send us notes. Let us know what you want. We're happy to do it. Is there a basic drawing or site layout function that can be incorporated into this? And I think I just answered that a little bit with our site survey. So we'll do that. So anybody who wants to get in touch, please use info@wesuite.com, or you are able to email me or Samantha directly from the sales marketing side. If you've got a support type issue, we'd appreciate you going through support. My email, Tracy, Tracy.Larson, Larson, @wesuite.com. My phone, 914-920-3400, extension 710. Happy to hear from you. Samantha Perry is samantha.perry@wesuite.com. And that's it. I hope you guys all have an awesome day. We really appreciate everybody's attendance and look forward to hearing from you and talking soon.